This one is funny. Marvel spent how much on Avengers Doomsday? Oh no! What will the investors do if they don't make their money back? What will they do? Such a travesty that the investors might not make their money back. Oh no! Says the people who pretend they don't care about studios. But they worry about the investors' money and how much money they're going to make back. Let's do it.
Hello everyone, Jesterbell aka Female Frodo Baggins is here. Thought that we would start the video off with a chair flop, which we haven't done in a very, very long time. But today we are going to be talking about the catastrophe of Avengers Doomsday and how...
Oh, the catastrophe. It's not even out yet. It's not even... This again? This old chestnut? Alright.
It keeps getting worse, and
Oh.
how much is Marvel really willing to gamble on this movie, and how can that possibly pay off with what they are risking with this film?
I want to point out that Doomsday is exactly what these folks have been asking for. Right? I mean, we got all of those teasers, and the only one they didn't really like is the one with Fantastic Four and Wakanda. All the other ones they seem to like. They love the Thor one. They love the Chris Evans one with Steve Rogers. They love that one. The one the X-Men one, they like that one too. The only one they really had an issue with was the Wakanda one. So what changed? What shifted for them that now they have to like attack Doomsday? What's the... Robert Downey Jr. is back. Steve Rogers is back, or Chris Evans is back. Chris Hemsworth is back as Thor. They're doing less with a lot of the other newer characters. So I don't really understand now we're not supposed to like that. Now we're supposed to dislike when they do the thing that we have been begging them to do for years. Bold move. Crazy Joe says, it was the same thing with The Rise of Skywalker. They all hated Last Jedi, and when Kathleen Kennedy pivoted to meet their demands, all they did was mock that too. All right, that is true.
So the news that brings us here today is that we got a report on the alleged budget and marketing budget that Marvel is spending on Avengers Doomsday.
Okay, two things. One, marketing budgets are never public. And I put a little asterisk on that because, yes, there might have been one time in the last 50 years where somebody gave an exact number for marketing budget, but they're never public. And it's hard to give a public number for a marketing budget because they're done quarterly. When movie studios give out their budgets for the year for marketing, it's done by quarter over various projects. So it's one budget for like 3 or 4 movies, and then they have to determine while they're doing that how much they're willing to spend on each one of those before those things go out to have like, press releases, commercials, ad campaigns. When they do deals with like Burger King or Pizza Hut or whatever, all those things are done by quarter. So there's no way that anyone right now, even people very close to the project, would know the exact amount of money that they are spending on marketing. That is just a lie. It's just not true. You would have to be the person working at the top end who is crunching all the numbers that just randomly goes out and leaks this budget to someone. No scooper is going to know that. It's just not going to happen. As far as the budget for the movie, let me double check and see what the sources are on this. I'm seeing one article here that says that there's something from the UK production team that has the amount that was spent over there. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. The 400 million production budget and 300 million in marketing number appears to come from an insider with a rumor circulation from John Campia. So the only article that I could find that has any sort of number on it is here. Disney reveals spending on Avengers Doomsday, and this is from March of last year. Disney has revealed that its upcoming Avengers Doomsday movie has already cost more than double to sum up spent on 2023's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania when at a similar stage of production. Disney has revealed. So the only thing they said is that it's more than this movie, which is expected. It's not this is not at the same level as like an Avengers movie. No, there's no number for Avengers Doomsday. So I'm not going to take John Campio's word on, look, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take his word on a marketing budget or anything like that. I just don't believe that he has that information. But let's continue with Jesterbell here.
Get ready for this on how much they are spending. But this report came from John Campia.
So it's not a report, it's a rumor. It's not a report. That's not what a report is. It's a rumor.
On his show that was saying that he heard that the Avengers Doomsday budget was 400.
Oh, it's Trust Me Bro News. Oh. So I love Trust Me Bro News. I always tune in for Trust Me Bro. It's the best news source.
$1 million that he said makes it one of, if not the most expensive film ever made. And I gotta say, I believe, with what I remember about everything I've read about movie budgets, that is the most expensive movie ever made.
So she's done a lot of research. So what she remembers up here mentally and everything she's read tells you that that number must be accurate. It must be accurate. Man, I'm so glad that I tune into Jesterbell for all of my important movie news.
The highest budget that I've ever heard for a film before this, I think it was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That was like $100 million for its budget, which was absurd. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous. And you know, I've heard of other movies in the past, like I think the Cleopatra film, adjusted for inflation, would have been around like $300 million, $350.
Right. So when you adjust a movie for inflation, you have to adjust everything for inflation because that would mean the economy was different. So you can't really use that. It doesn't hold up over time. You can do it compared to other things in that area, like when that was released. You could even do it compared to other projects in that same franchise. But when you adjust one thing for inflation, you have to adjust all of it for inflation. But let's continue.
Stuff like that. I have never heard a film with a budget of $400 million before. But then it gets worse.
Right. So that means it's impossible for them to do it? It's impossible because she's never heard of it before? Wow.
We hear that the marketing budget of the film to complement the $400 million production budget is going to be $300 million, bringing the movie's entire budget up to $700 million.
By the way, again, as I said earlier, and I just want to reiterate, the marketing cost for movies is done quarterly over multiple projects. It's not individual films. That's why it's always an estimated budget. Let's continue.
$1 million. As that Park Place reports, and that's the website I'm reading this in.
That Park Place is a propaganda website. It's just propaganda. But let's go ahead.
Information from. That's not just expensive, that's historic. There has never been, to my knowledge, a movie that cost this much in the history of Hollywood.
Right.
And considering that budget and the marketing, typically you take a budget and you multiply it by 2.5 to get what its break-even point.
That's called a rule of thumb. That's a rule of thumb way of doing math, and it's already proven to be a bad metric, because you're using an estimated number and then you're creating a rule of thumb way of determining how much money needs to be made. So it's a second step in an assumption. It's not a standard. That's not something that works for every movie. So again, this is just it's just dumb.
Is going to be, and then you add in the marketing budget to understand at what point a movie is going to break even. So putting all of that together.
So the issue here is that Jesterbell has taken bad behavior from other people and turned it into some sort of formula that she's using. I don't know how many times I have to tell people, like, you can look all this up. You can look all of this up. people always come into the comments and they're like, oh, you're wrong. Look it up. If I'm wrong, look it up and prove to me that I'm wrong. The rule of thumb on marketing budgets for movies is not an exact formula. It's not a mathematical equation.
In order for Avengers Doomsday to just break even, not even turn a profit, just make back the money that it spent, it's going to have to make at least $1.3 billion. Once again,
even if this is true, even if all this is true, $1.3 billion is very achievable for an Avengers Doomsday movie. It's very achievable. Like, could it not make 1.3? Yes, there's always a chance that a movie could not do well. But you have to look at the track record. Avengers movies, by far, have been successful films. So this is another Avengers movie. It's the first one we've had since Endgame. I think it's going to do well. I could be wrong, though. But I'm going to say optimistic.
And not to profit, just to break even. And some people are saying it could be even more than that, like perhaps 1.5 billion.
It could be $10 billion. An insider told me it's going to cost $11 billion for Avengers Doomsday to break even. I heard from my contact at Disney, the marketing budget is $5 billion. It's crazy up in here. I can't believe it. $20 billion. Like, come on, man.
Basically, for Avengers Doomsday to have a significant profit, it's going to have to be an over $2 billion film. Just like Infinity War and Endgame were. Wow. Imagine how much of that production...
Imagine that the last two movies did really well, and I'm sitting over here worried that this one might not. Imagine that.
Budget went into Robert Downey Jr.'s personal chefs and his personal trailer park, his personal amusement park, his personal water park.
But y'all like Robert Downey Jr., right? You're fans of his. So if you're fans of Robert Downey Jr., then why are you clowning him for what's in his rider? Didn't y'all want him back? Haven't you been screaming to bring back Robert Downey Jr. for years? But now it's a problem. Now it's an issue. Now that the big star that you guys have been crying for comes back, now he's asking for too much.
I have to hand it to the guy, is that he knows that Marvel is his oyster and that they will do anything, absolutely anything, to bring him back, and that they...
Which goes against the narrative that you guys created years ago, not saying Jesterbell specifically, but this community, that they got rid of him and it's the worst thing they ever did. But now they'll do anything to bring him back. They'll roll out the red carpet and give him diamond rings and all the gold fronts he could possibly want. I mean, like, they could have done this before, but they didn't. They saved it for this moment. So this is sort of different than just bringing him back. Like, that's not the same thing. Like, they got rid of him. I don't think they ever expected to bring Robert Downey Jr. back. I think when he walked away, they thought that was it. I think this is a special situation. Like, I don't think he's coming back to be Iron Man full time. I don't think that's happening.
They are in pure desperation, and he is milking that.
I mean, you can't. So when they do what you want them to do, they're desperate. That's it. I believe Marvel made a big mistake with phases 4 and 5. They got rid of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and I think if they brought them back, that would make the MCU cinematic universe, the Marvel cinematic universe, the MCU, the MCEU, the MCU, I think it would make that so much better if they just brought back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. Why don't you get on that, Marvel? A couple of days later, they're just desperate. Look how desperate they are for bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. Holy shit, they're in the stinker. How sad must it be that they have to go out there and hire these people that they let go years ago? It just reeks of desperation. Literal brain rot. This is literal brain rot.
for all that it is worth. I remember hearing that Robert Downey Jr.'s payday for this movie was at least like almost $100 million alone. That is insane. But the question is here is that Marvel...
They should have gave him $5. Yeah. They should have gave him $5.
Is not in the position that it was when Infinity War and Endgame came out, and those got $2 billion each. Like, there's no way, even if somehow Avengers Doomsday is good, and I don't think that that's true, that it's going to make it $2 billion. You have to be a...
Bookmark this. Bookmark this. Not because I care one way. Like, again, I don't judge the quality of a movie based on money, but bookmark this video whenever Doomsday comes out and see if they make $2 billion. I'm just curious whether or not they're going to do it. According to her, there's no way it's going to make $2 billion. Maybe not. Maybe it'll make 1.999. I don't know.
Really good movie in order to get that these days. Like, it might get $1 billion at best.
It takes a really, really good movie. Didn't you guys shit all over other movies that made $1 billion last year? Didn't you guys do that? I distinctly remember covering videos where you guys complained that even all the movies in 2025 that did well, that made lots of money, that they were awful. So what do you mean only good movies can make $1 billion? That's not even the standard you keep for yourself.
Maybe it'll get 1.5, maybe. But here's the thing, as we're talking about this, is that it's being said behind the scenes as an explanation for why this budget is...
Behind the scenes. By who? Who is saying this? It's being said behind the scenes. From what person? Who behind the scenes is saying this?
So high is that Avengers Doomsday is not a film that's being made to profit. It's a film where they don't care how much money they spend on it. After all, Disney doesn't get the majority of its money from ticket sales. It's merchandise and the parks that bring in all the money.
You know, every once in a while she says something that is true. Every once in a while, and it slips through. I want you to remember this next time they talk about Disney dying and bleeding money. She's right. Ancillary funds are where Disney makes the majority of its money. That's just the reality of it. Toys, t-shirts, theme parks, things like that. So if you're admitting here in 1080p, maybe 4K, depending on where you're watching it, if you're admitting this here, then that means it doesn't matter how often or how spectacularly flop-arena these movies are, if you're admitting that it's not the main source of income for these projects. Congratulations, you played yourself. You just played yourself. I want to run that back because it's a really important statement here. This is absolutely true, and I can't believe she said it on camera and left it in. I can't believe she did this. This is the truth, and this is why when they argue at the box office, it's so pointless. And I've been saying this for years now. None of them have ever admitted this. Let's hear her say this again.
They don't care how much money they spend on it. After all, Disney doesn't get the majority of its money from ticket sales. It's merchandise and the parks that bring in all the money.
I don't even know if we need to watch the rest of the video. I feel like, for me, that sums it up. So why are we making this video, Jesterbell? Why are we even talking about this? Why is this even a subject? What's the point? If you're going to admit that they don't make the majority of their money from the movies, and that's why they don't care about how much they make, then you have just proven that all of the screaming and hollering that you and everybody else on your side has been doing for a decade is all for nothing. Round of applause for me. Thank you so much for that, because I really appreciate when you make my job a lot easier and you admit that what you're doing is outrage farming and that it doesn't actually move the needle, I really appreciate that, because then I can just stop the video. I don't even have to finish the video at this point, because you've got another, how much time is left on this video? Oh, wow. You got another like 12 minutes that I don't have to watch now. Because once you've said that it doesn't matter to them how much the movie makes because of all the other ancillary money, I don't have to watch the rest of your video. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Everyone, that was Jesterbell exposing the grift.